Hi, this is Anthony Douglas. This is Case Study for Special Education for School Leaders, Module number 8. A brief summary of the situation in the case study is we have Carl, who's an emotionally disturbed student, who's causing a disruption for other students as well as the learning environment in a teacher's classroom. And the teacher's upset, and the teacher wants Carl removed immediately. On the flip side, we also have Carl's IEP teacher, who's trying to follow the IEP, who's trying to do things right to make sure that the IEP is followed, to make sure that they're going about the right process, to make sure Carl's being serviced correctly, and to make sure things are done well. The teacher in the classroom wants Carl removed because he's a disturbance, he's out of control, and he's disrupting the learning environment, not only for Carl, but for other students in the classroom. However, the new IEP teacher is new, and she's being told and almost pushed around and bullied on what she should have done and what she should have done and what the last IEP teacher would have done in her shoes. However, the problem isn't with any of that. The problem is the fact that Carl's acting out, that Carl's disrupting the classroom environment, and there's no simple solution. And there's no benefit in the solution to Carl, and the new solution doesn't make the teacher happy. And it's unproven that this is going to solve Carl's issues. That is the issue. The issues removing Carl, the issues following the IP, and the issues to make sure that that's really servicing Carl and his disability. So we have an emotionally disturbed student. We have a home life situation that Carl's coming from where his parents are being divorced and there's support or lack of support there on their part. There's a support system within the school for Carl, but no one's really sure what to do or how it works or what it should be. And then the teacher support as well in the building. So our plan of action is pretty simple. We need to make a plan of action to make sure not only Carl's being serviced and Carl's education is being forwarded and Carl's learning the coping skills with his emotional disturbed disability, but also that other students are benefiting from their education at the school. So we need to look at what services are being provided by the school, what coping skills are being provided, what counseling or psychiatric help is being provided. When you look at Carl's strengths and weaknesses, what's he good at? What does he enjoy? What does he like? What do we do well at with Carl? And then we do this through an observation system, not only with teachers that have Carl daily, but maybe a psychiatrist, maybe a principal or administrator, just to observe Carl, keep tallies on what it is that ticks him, when it happens, what happens when it happens, and then most of all, making sure that Carl's placed in a least restrictive environment so that he's able to have the same opportunity for curriculum and the instruction as any other student. So what we want to do in this is, and when we implement this plan, is we're going to make sure that not only is Carl successful academically when he's given the chance, but the other students are given the chance to be academically successful as well. So in doing this, we need to resolve some things to promote success between Carl and the other students. We need to provide learning opportunities for Carl. We have to find ways that make him learn or give him the opportunity to have fine instruction and to close that instructional gap so he's able to receive the same instruction, the same curriculum that any other student would have. We as a school need to make sure that we're following the IEP. If we need to, we need to probably reconvene and meet again to make an amendment to the IEP or reevaluate the IEP itself and its effectiveness. The whole goal between the IEP and the learning opportunities is not only to make sure that Carl is successful in his academic areas, but he's also successful emotionally and as a whole person. Making sure that Carl is learning how to cope with this emotional disturbed disorder, to figure out what it is we need to help Carl with to make sure that he's developing and learning as a human being and as a student so that he has success not only in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. This will also kind of filter over into the other students. We think about just the IEP for Carl. What is it that if we help Carl be successful, how are we going to make the other students successful as well? This will help in the fact that Carl is learning to control himself. Carl's learning to have coping skills. Carl's learning how to function in that least restrictive environment. In doing so, all students will be successful. So, what am I thinking? Well, I'm thinking that the student needs help. Carl needs help. Carl needs a way to figure out what it is that's going on. Carl needs to figure out what it is he needs to do when these tics happen. Carl needs to figure out what it is he needs to do when he starts feeling this come on and this frustration. Teachers, not only the teacher that's wanting him out of the classroom, but the IEP teacher, all the teachers that deal with Carl on a daily basis need help. What is it? What tricks? What things in a hat that work for Carl? What is it that helps them help him be successful? What is it that keeps his attention? What is it that helps him not tick? And when he does tick, how can the teachers help him calm down and de-escalate from that? I'm also thinking that there needs to be a strong advocate for this student. We realize that his mom breaks down and is emotionally and is upset, but who's the advocate for the student? Who's looking out for the student and Carl and what's in Carl's best interest? As far as my feelings, I think there's really three. I'm frustrated with the fact that the teacher's trying to bully another teacher to get him out of his classroom, her classroom. Frustrated in the fact that the teacher wants to move him on and not deal with it and handle Carl as a whole person. And there's like a helplessness almost, in that I wish I could work with Carl. I wish I could help Carl. I wish I could help this teacher understand that Carl has a story. Carl has a reason he's acting this way. And how do we have empathy for Carl in order to do so? The things we need to value are pretty easy. We need to value Carl's education. We need to make sure that Carl's able to learn no matter what his disability is. Carl has the right to his education. We really want to value the other student's education in the classroom. It can be frustrating as a student in the classroom when someone misbehaves and takes away from your learning opportunity. But I also feel sorry for the teachers, and I value the teacher's frustration. Having a student that she's having to take time out of her day and out of her instruction for other students all the time can be irritating and very frustrating when you don't know what to do. So as we reflect on the standard, we need to make sure that we meet the standard and that we look to develop and sustain the learning culture and the effective teaching and learning environment. We have to do this by communicating, modeling behavior, and making sure we've placed all students in a culture that ensures an inclusive behavior that's reachable, teachable, and capable for success. In doing so, we're going to make sure we place all the students in a safe environment. Make sure it's a safe place to learn. No one's harmed, no one's hurt emotionally or physically. We want to make sure that the learning environment is set out front first, making sure that all students know that they have a right to learn and making sure all the students know they have the ability to learn and they're going to be successful when they learn. In doing so, we place Carl and all the other students in the least restrictive environment possible so that they're able to be with their peers and so that they're able to learn at a high rate and high success. We also want to make sure that all students have are enhanced into the instructional capacity, whether that be through the curriculum that they're given like other students, the expectations, or the rigor. We want to make sure that the students have the ability and the opportunity to have the same curriculum opportunities that all students have in the school or in that grade level. In doing so, we set forth expectations for those teachers and the expectations on those students to complete the work and enjoy the work and make sure they understand it. And in doing so, it's kind of a threefold. We come back to rigor. We set expectations of high academic success. It can happen with any kid at any level with any type of curriculum. Students are going to meet the success and the rigor that we set before them, and in doing so, it has to be set high enough, but also with an understanding of their disability or their learning levels. So in order to enhance the instructional capacity, we need to do three things. First of all, we meet the students' needs where they are and what they're doing and what they need from us, giving them services. We also accommodate the instruction to meet that student where they're at. And we have to be flexible. What is it that they learn and how can they learn best at their particular learning level? In doing so, all three of those things are met, but also the expectations, the rigor, and the students' needs are being serviced.